It is Wednesday, 5/23/2018, 23rd of May, 2018. It is 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so you know what time it is. It's time for a little bit of coin metal. And today's kind of special because, of course, it is my birthday, and I'd like to thank all of those of you in social media who did take the time to wish me a happy birthday. I certainly do appreciate that. I got one from Fleming Rasmussen. Fleming, if you're listening, man, that might as well have been a gift under the Christmas tree, man. I mean, because, you know, I held you pretty highly with all of the work that you have done with bands throughout the 80s, 90s, and of course the 2000s in helping them realize their visions with regard to their album and where they're really trying to go. And for those of you who do not know, Fleming did a lot of production for on Master of Puppets. I think he was like the primary on that, and same thing with Injustice for All. I'm not sure how much work he did with them beforehand, though. I don't know why I didn't scan back that far. I think he might have been involved in Ride the Lightning, but I'm not entirely certain on that. So don't quote me. Anywho, as far as what we're going to cover today, I'm not entirely certain. I will say that it was a relatively calm get your ass kicked at Jiu-Jitsu Wednesday. Because for those of you who have been listening, I am still kind of convalescing due to some significant strains on my elbow, on my right elbow. So, yeah, you know, I'm not battle ready yet, but I am still doing as much as I possibly can in class, and basically doing my own like lifting and whatnot in the times that they're doing things that I'm not going to do, such as rolling or any positional sparring or anything like that. I'm just not doing it. I mean, I put a little bit of strain on it in class, and it's kind of aching right now. So, you know, and when I say a little bit of strain, I didn't actually like challenge it or anything, just doing basic stuff. And so that's got me a little concerned that, you know, it's going to take me a little bit longer than I would like in order to kind of fully recover from this one. But I'm doing what I can to keep from re-injuring myself or making my existing injuries any worse. And so, fortunately for me, today we were covering a lot of breaking guard. You know, when somebody's got you in closed guard, and you know, some of the various ways. You know, a sleeve grip, a lapel grip, and a knee right in the ass. But yeah, you know, just standing up from full guard, and a couple of escapes to pass. And yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I only really participated in the parts for breaking guard, but I did not do any of the armbar moves or anything like that followed afterward. I didn't do the full sequence, and I did not do the positional sparring thereafter. But you know, I still feel like I got something out of the class. Like I said, I participated as much as I could, but where my injury was conflicting with not only my own learning, but the learning of other students, I just bowed out. You know, I didn't want to leave anybody who wasn't injured and who could give, you know, their 100% to their partner. I just bowed out and let them have the floor, you know, because, I mean, shit. There's no reason for more than one of us to be suffering from my injury, right? So that's just my thinking on it. It's bad enough that I'm not to full steam on rolling. I don't want to interfere with other people getting to where they want to go with regard to their jiu-jitsu. So anywho, let's go ahead and kick down into some music. And of course, as usual, I have not picked anything. But I've got Anthrax right in front of me, and I love this song. But you know what? I'm going to play a song for somebody else today. Mr. Theo Goodman, if you are listening, this one is for you. And he had posted this earlier, posted the video for it earlier on his Facebook? No, Twitter. And I love this song. And when this album came out, man, it completely reset the bar for my expectations for bands. Really, it was one of those like Meshuggah, straight out. And this is it. Sepultura, Arise, off the album of the same name, here on Coin Metal. First Dance. And that was Within the Ruins with Beautiful Agony. My apologies to those of you who are listening. Was experiencing a little bit of difficulty here on my end. Apparently my my program was deciding to crap out on me, and it was just no bueno. But managed to get up and around and over that shit. And here we are. So, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I want to talk a bit about Verge. I mean, apparently there's been some sort of attack going on. And this is not the first. It has happened before. And as a matter of fact, I believe the current attack that's going on, or was, or is, or I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if it's still going on or if it... whatever. But I do know that it has been trading on Bittrex, so I would assume there's a good possibility they got that shit under control, at least by now. But, let's see here. I'm trying to find some news. Like I said, I was having an issue with my program, and usually when I have that kind of issue, I immediately start closing shit. I don't, including my browser, because I often suspect my browser of being host to multiple little buggies and things, and it's Monero, man. Monero and their shadow mining shit that attaches to your fucking browser when you go to certain web pages, and it's readily known as cryptojacking. And if you've ever experienced it, it really fucking sucks. But in any case, I get these every once in a while through the browser, and it's an unfortunate thing that such a development should occur, but I don't know, I think it's something to do with ASICs. That because the average person can't just afford to throw down $1,000 or so for an ASIC, that the tendency there is, okay, it's too expensive to do it that way, so I am going to gank everybody's computer through their browser, and I'm going to use what itty-bitty amount of hashing power I can get out of their CPUs collectively and mine me some Monero with it. I mean, this is a natural fucking response. And devs, you gotta get it through your fucking head. You gotta get it through your head now that people want to participate. Now, you gotta be making it easier for them to participate. There's all this talk about IoT and all that shit. Whatever. I mean, really, you want to gank all of my fucking hardware, all the hardware that I work my ass off to get the money to buy. You just want to steal it right out from under me, basically. And you think that's all right, or that's a viable future with regard to computing. And I can tell you right now that the fact that people aren't willingly participating in this mining that you're talking about or considering happening, because they're not willingly and knowingly participating in it, when there's issues with it, they are not going to be in control of taking care of it. And you're basically going to dissuade people from wanting to use devices that have your fucking shitware in them. And will not want to use your shitware, because there will be problems. As a matter of fact, I saw something today about, that's what I wanted to talk about, other than Verge Currency's issue right now. But I just saw this in passing, and this one I thought was kind of big because they're having some sort of issue right now, and let's see here. Building a real-time fraud engine for blah blah blah. There it is. And this one, I guess, happened on the 21st. But yeah, dude. Oh wow, that's interesting. Very, very interesting. I've been seeing this name, and I didn't really know what it was, and I still don't. But I saw it on oddly enough a Twitter twat that I was having with somebody about segregated witness or Lightning Network or some shit like that. Anyway, I think it was the Lightning Network, as a matter of fact. Anyway, the person, we were talking about digital transactions, and I was talking about it in terms of not needing a third-party intermediary, and this person was saying, well, if you want to do digital payments, you should just use Zelle or blah, 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 or blah, 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 and named off a bunch of them. But I caught this name Zelle because I hadn't heard it before. I mean, I think I've seen it on, like on one of those banners. It's got you've got a wall with a bunch of banners on it with vendors associated with them on it and so on and so forth. And I think I may have seen it there, but this was like the first I'd heard of this thing. And I looked it up just now on Google, and I got a series of really interesting responses right off the bat. And yeah, I'm kind of interested in it. Well, let's start with the first that I was going to talk about it. And this is on Altcoin Buzz. And this is published today. Bad news strikes again for Verge. And this is by Luke Lammers. Well, it is two M's, so I'm going to say Lammers. And no indication of penis. So anyway, we're just going to assume that Luke has a penis. Bad news strikes again for Verge. Privacy-centric cryptocurrency Verge appears to have succumbed to a 51% attack for the second time this quarter. Is the end nearing for Verge? No. Small recap. On April 4th, 2018, the Verge network was taken over by a so-called 51% attack. And actually it wasn't. It was a modification of the time warp attack, where the timestamps were altered and valid blocks were invalidated by the attack. Continuing on. This means a group or a person has received more than 50% of the computing power of the network into its possession. Because of this, bugs could be exploited, allowing 1 block per second to be mined. As a result, for many hours, the hacker could, and there's a lot of could and maybe, steal away all the block rewards and run off with approximately 20 million Verge, worth more than 1.1 million at that time. The Verge team tweeted after the attack, "We had a small hash attack that lasted about 3 hours earlier this morning. It's been cleared up now. We will be implementing even more redundancy checks for things of this nature in the future." XVG Verge fam. Because of the attack, on the 8th of April, Verge forked to prevent the attack from happening again. the problems for Verge seem solved. That said, the attack did raise a few eyebrows. How could this have happened? And why did it take several days before the bug was resolved? A bug that was only discovered after tips from people outside of the Verge team. A lot of red flags for a lot of crypto investors, indicating that it might be best not to invest in Verge for a while. Also because the Verge developers downplayed the severity of the exploit. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Yesterday, the news came out that Verge again has been damaged by another mining attack. According to data published on Bitcoin Talk by forum user OC Miner, an attack appears to have successfully forked the Verge blockchain through a 51% attack. Again, this was another time warp attack. Yesterday's attack is very similar to the attack in April. The hacker manipulated a bug in the Verge code that allows malicious miners to set false timestamps on blocks and then rapidly mine new ones in quick succession. The damage, according to the last data, the hacker was coining $1,000 a minute, and is believed to have made over $1.7 million from this attack. Looking at the damage, it is quite clear that the hack is the result of an incompetent team that did a bad job fixing the previous attack. In regards to Verge and the quality of the team behind it, OC Miner summarized it perfectly. OC Miner wrote, "Since nothing really was done about the previous attacks, only a band-aid, the attackers now simply use two algos to fork the chain for their own use and are gaining millions." Meanwhile, the response from the Verge team is mind-boggling. It appears that some mining pools are under DDoS attack and we are experiencing a delay in our blocks. We are working to resolve this. It is striking to see that even with these kinds of attacks, the official Verge team is not giving a lot of information on what is going on. In the meantime, the price of Verge has dropped significantly since the attack came to light. Currently, the future is not looking bright for Verge yet. It would be surprising if Verge buys another partnership similar to Pornhub deal, just to distract crypto investors from seeing all the mistakes this team has already made. To be continued. Well, it's a scathing review. And you know what? It's going to happen, I indicated this to one other person on this particular subject, is that crypto is a full contact sport. I don't know if you guys have figured that out or not. And you cannot be worth anything to anybody without somebody trying to gank that value. And that's just a fact of life. Now, the responsibility is to try and avoid that from happening. To do as much as you possibly can to resolve such issues and ensure that your users and your miners are actually being adequately awarded for their effort. I mean, personally, I feel that seeing as my personal contact with Verge Dev has indicated that the man is buried up to his ass in working on this. So, as long as that's true, I don't care. I'll keep holding my Verge. But, there are people that are in cryptocurrencies specifically and only for the profit that they can be making from themselves. They really don't care too much about the technology itself. They care about the rapid return. And so any little bad news, and they just freak out. And you know what? That's how it is in every single market. And I'm not trying to downplay the event. Certainly not. I mean, it's a global fucking digital transaction network and it's having some fucking issues. So, it's a serious enough thing. However, in the longer term, I don't believe that this will kill Verge or anything like that. I believe that because there is a significant number of people that support this cryptocurrency and use it, that it will persist. But yeah, like, as far as Verge Dev is concerned, I'm not at all worried. You know? The guy's gotten Verge through much bigger issues previously, so I'm not entirely concerned at all. But yeah, like I said, I'm holding Verge, and I'll probably be holding Verge long after this shit. But I got kind of in a Twitter twat with Charlie Lee, and it's funny because it seems like most cryptocurrency advocates, most people that have been involved in this space, they tend to forget the results of their own issues. I mean, Litecoin has had several issues. One of them being that, well, I don't know. I'm kind of critical of the fact that Charlie had sold a lot of his coins, but hey, you know what? That's the right of anybody who is involved in cryptocurrencies. It's not really a judgment call to be made. I mean, I've sold Verge plenty, and I've also bought a lot of it too. So, I mean, you know, it's one of those things. But I got in kind of a Twitter thing with him, and you know, Charlie, regardless of what I may have said to you today, I still think you're one of the bigger people in cryptocurrencies. I'm very happy to have seen your contributions to them, but please, I would really appreciate it if you would not try to equivocate an issue with the currency to some sort of issue with regard to it being like a scam or some sort of malicious thing. Yeah, so what, man? People fucking make mistakes. You know, you can't see everything, and you know, to talk like you're all-knowing or something about cryptocurrencies, despite the fact that you yourself on your own network experienced plenty of issues in the beginning and throughout. I find it kind of lame, you know, that people would be shitting on Verge like this. And yeah, you know, I'd really like to see more constructive advice. I mean, because really, the fact of the matter is that we're all cryptocurrency users. All of us, even the ones that we lovingly call no-coiners. They're cryptocurrency users too. They're just deciding not to use it at all. But that's a conscious decision on most of their parts. Nonetheless, we're trying to overcome some very specific issues that we've been facing in digital transactions. And I mean, Charlie, dude, if you want to be constructive, I mean, you want to provide some help here, maybe talk to Verge Dev, talk to Soonrock, offer up some advice. I mean, shit, you've been running you were running a cryptocurrency for a very long time. I'm one of the longest running altcoins. So, you know, rather than pointing fingers from the outside, maybe you should talk to Verge Dev, see where he's at. You know, maybe you can add something constructive. Maybe you've got some advice. Maybe you know how to fix it. But, you know, if you don't, it's not really helping you much pointing at him and talking shit. I mean, really. The fact that Verge is even still here after having watched how many cryptocurrencies fall by the wayside, and you've watched hundreds of cryptocurrencies rise and fall. I know you have, because I have too. So like I said, rather than talking shit, maybe you should be helping out. Anyway, enough of that. I've got this other thing, and this one is something that has been warned about, and something that always makes this threat always makes me trepidatious when it comes to doing off-chain transactions via Lightning and so on and so forth, and the kind of little hacks and tweaks in the Bitcoin protocol that are necessary to make that possible. And I keep thinking back to this word, or this term rather, that we stopped using it about, I think it was like 2014 or 2015. People just kind of stopped talking about it. Central point of failure. And now how do we go about getting around that? Oh yeah, decentralization. And not decentralization as in having some third party be decentralized for you. I mean like decentralized as in you've got a copy, I've got a copy, your next door neighbor's got a copy. That's decentralized. Anyway, this is something that has been warned about the entire time that we've been venturing forth in this whole realm of digital finance, or digital transactions that don't include third parties. And one of the very basic reasons why we wanted to avoid third parties is they become central points of failure, or at least potential central points of failure. Now, I want you to think about the word hub. What is a hub? In reference to a wheel, the hub is the what? Oh yeah, the center of the wheel. The thing that all of the rest of the wheel is hooked to, right? That transfers the motion to the object that the wheel is attached to. The spokes, I should say. Hub and spoke is the model of Lightning Network, implying that there is a potential central point of failure in the hub. And what's worse is they plan on handing the oversight of the entire network off to another third party. So now you've got a third party that's facilitating your transactions, and you've got a third party that's watching your transactions. And of course, there is no indication of whether or not both of these third parties are going to be, in fact, be the same entity. I say that's the high likelihood. But so here it is. This one's on NBCDFW.com. Consumers say their bank accounts were hacked through Zelle. This is by Samantha Chapman, and so no penis. Published 4:37 a.m. CDT, May 23rd, 2018. Zelle is an app that is supposed to make it easy and safe for you to send money to friends or relatives. But some consumers who never signed up for Zelle said strangers are using the service to steal money in a matter of seconds. Zelle is said to be the new, fast, safe, easy way to send money from one bank account to another in a matter of minutes. But consumers like Brad Miller say they've been robbed in a matter of seconds. Miller said he's banked with Wells Fargo for more than 29 years. He said that everything was fine until recently when he got an alert on his phone saying that his Wells Fargo password had been changed. I immediately hopped to my computer and tried to log in, and of course, I'm locked out, he said. Moments later, he received another email saying that he added Lori Miller as a new Zelle recipient and can now send her money. The McKinney, Texas man said he doesn't know a Lori Miller, so he called his wife. She says, "No, I have no idea what you're talking about," he explained. Not long after, he received a third email informing him that he had sent Lori $2,500 through Zelle. Quote, I'm watching all the stuff getting changed in my account. I'm watching money go out of the account, and there's nothing I can do about it, Miller said. He said he's never even used Zelle before, but has seen the commercials. Tommy Green noticed 2 withdrawals from his account totaling almost $4,000, so he called Bank of America. Quote, she said, we can't stop it. And I'm like, lady, I'm telling you, this isn't me. Somebody is stealing my money, he said. Quote, that's a whole month of Social Security. Green and his wife had filed a report with the Rockwell Police Department in Texas. A detective looked into his case and confirmed someone transferred money from his account using Zelle. Quote, somebody had opened up a Zelle account, transferred the money, and then closed the Zelle account, Green said. I don't know how this could happen. Cybersecurity expert Keith Barthold said hackers are using consumers' email addresses and cell phone numbers to tap into their bank accounts and send money to a Zelle user. Zelle has partnered with 60 financial institutions, including Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, Capital One, and USAA. Even if you haven't enrolled with Zelle through your bank, Barthold said hackers can enroll for you at your expense. Quote, it's directly tied to your bank account, and if someone is in it, they're able to very quickly and irreversibly transfer money from your account to another, said Barthold. Zelle tells NBC5 responds, it requires financial institutions to verify that the customer has control of the email address or mobile phone number, most commonly through verification codes. But Miller and Green tell us they didn't receive any verification code whatsoever. That's probably because their email was ganked first. In a statement, Early Warning Services, the network operator behind Zelle, tells us, quote, we are listening to and acting on feedback, working closely with our financial institution partners to resolve issues quickly or addressing situations directly when the Zelle app is used to originate a transaction. We and our partner financial institutions each apply multiple layers of protection across both the Zelle app and the mobile banking apps, respectively, alongside 24/7 fraud monitoring at the network level. Dude, that's bullshit. Let me tell you something. If there were any real heuristics going on with regard to the behavior of the customer, they would catch these huge fucking transfers going on. It's like, okay, does this customer typically use Zelle? Does this person use Zelle with anybody else? Has this person ever used Zelle? How long is the Zelle user been a Zelle user that's wanting to transfer the funds? Okay, if the person there's no behavioral analysis going on at all with regard to this, because there's no way in fucking hell you would see a Zelle transfer going out of my account unless, of course, somebody ganked it, because transferring that much money to somebody via Zelle would be a unique event for me. It would not fit according to any behavior patterns that I've ever exhibited. I mean, you would expect the financial institution to at least call you personally and verify it. And with regard to that, I would say, rather than relying on a cell phone number, they should be trying to rely on a fucking landline. But then again, how would you know? There's no way to verify. If they gank your email, right? Then they get your phone number and your personal information from ganking your email. Then they call your phone company. They convince your phone company that they are you. They get all the shit transferred that way, and then they call Wells Fargo. Then they do the Zelle shit, so on and so forth. Continuing on, quote, I got my mortgage attached to this. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I kind of skipped ahead there. But Miller and Green said they're holding their banks accountable. They're both demanding refunds and answers. Quote, I got my mortgage attached to this account. Where's my money going to come from? Miller said. If there's a hole in the boat, how long are you going to wait to patch the hole? Wells Fargo did refund Miller the $2,500 about a week after it was taken. Quote, while threats continue to change and evolve, we continue to evolve our multi-layers of controls to further help our customers avoid becoming victims of fraud, the bank said. But Green said it took Bank of America months to refund his money. Bank of America said, we do apologize for the delay in resolving their claims, as internet fraud can be complicated to uncover, and these cases required additional investigation before the fraud was confirmed. We are cooperating with law enforcement. If you see fraudulent charges on your bank account, here are Samantha Chapman's solutions. Number 1, contact your bank immediately. Number 2, file a police report. Number 3, contact the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau if you feel your bank is not cooperating. Number 5, what? That's not even a bullet point on here, you fuckers. Oh, hey, there's even some responses on this one. Let's check it out. Zelle app should not be attached to anyone's accounts or, for that matter, any app that allows anyone to move money. If I don't request it, I don't want it, period. This is ridiculous, especially when people already live paycheck to paycheck. It's way too easy to activate these stupid apps alongside your bank account. Get rid of the linkage problem solved. I agree. The report, and that was by Reno Fetty Diaz, and the next one's by Tracy McDonald. This report leaves out a lot of important information. About Miller's case, it appears Miller's bank account logon was hacked. He got an alert on his phone saying his Wells Fargo password had changed. That has nothing to do with Zelle. Yes, as Barthold said, if someone is in your bank account logon, they're able to very quickly and irreversibly transfer money from your bank account to another. The point is, quote, if someone is in it, meaning they have already hacked into your bank account logon, maybe if Zelle didn't exist, it would have slowed the thief down, and Miller's contact with the bank as soon as he got that first alert should have prevented the transactions. Also, how did his bank account logon get hacked? That's not explored. About Green's case, a detective looked into his case and confirmed someone transferred money from his account using Zelle. Exactly how did someone transfer money from Green's account using Zelle without being logged into his account? I suspect it's the same situation. His bank account logon was hacked first, but that's not explored. Now, about Barthold's statement, hackers are using consumers' email addresses and cell phone numbers to tap into their bank accounts. Exactly how does a thief tap into my bank account using Zelle, even if they use my phone number? Barthold also said, even if you haven't enrolled with Zelle through your bank, hackers can still enroll for you. How? So the thief has already gotten both my phone number and my bank account number. Can they open an account in Zelle and link the two together and transfer money from my bank account using the Zelle app? Or do they have to hack into my bank account logon? Why are these major points not explored? Oh my god, I'm giving that a fucking like. Does it give oh damn it, it doesn't give me an option to love. Thank you, Tracy. That is by far the most comprehensive comment I have ever fucking seen with regard to InfoSec. You are 100% correct, girl. I will tell you the way that they're doing it. Okay, having been a customer service agent for AT&T, I will tell you exactly how they are doing it. First, they compromise your phone. Okay, they get your phone number from somewhere. They compromise your phone by calling into customer service and saying, hey, this is my phone number, I'm having a lot of trouble, blah, blah, blah. And they get your phone number. They're probably working for AT&T, as a matter of fact. They get your phone information. They've already got your account information. They've got your phone number. They've got your personal address. They've got your name. They've got everybody who's attached to your phone account. Okay? So whoever it is, they're probably doing soft attacks, meaning they're doing, what do you call them? What's that fucking term? Social engineering attacks on AT&T through their customer service. Either AT&T or whoever they're... Either that, or it's an inside job from a customer service agent in either Verizon or AT&T, or somebody who has worked for them and kept information. You know, like kept account information, kept email information, so on and so forth. I guarantee you, the person who is doing these hacks, Miss Lori Miller, she either is she's an excellent social engineer, and she's getting all of the information by hacking into people's accounts, either on either through the AT&T website or Verizon website, or whoever the carrier's website is. Okay, they're conducting a social engineering attack where they just get one aspect. Okay, they get your phone. They don't even need your phone number. Half the time, a competent social engineer can get you to give them all that information. They can do things and say things that you got to know how much of the information on the other side is available. You know, it's like, oh, do you have that on my last address? Oh, wait, are you still at such and such a Elkwood Drive? Oh, yeah, you know that we did move. We moved to such and such a drive. See, the problem is the customer service agent, he doesn't have any way to verify that the person that he's talking to is the actual person. I mean, we had protocols for dealing with social engineers. And I know that I dealt with several of them. But I dealt with them. I didn't give them a bunch of fucking information. And it's easy enough to do. It really is. Down to phone number. It's like, I'm sorry, what number are you calling from? And you ask them to verify the phone number. And if they can't verify the phone number off the bat, then all they have is the name. You know? Like if they're dialing it from a different phone number, it tells the customer service agent that it's not the phone number that's attached to the account. And the person will ask, you know, it's like, what phone number are you calling about? You know, if they do that part right, a social engineering attack is kind of neutralized right there. But I'm not going to go any further into it because I got some fucking social engineer writing shit down right now. But anyway, point being that I would almost guarantee that it's a customer service agent, a former customer service agent, or somebody who is social engineering customer service agents for telephone service carriers. Because that is the key. That is the place that has all of this information. There's two big honeypots associated with, actually three if you really want to get down to it. But the third one is the hardest. And that is hacking people's personal computers. There is ways to do it. There are ways to do it. I'm not going to say there aren't, because there are fucking hackers out there. But that's the hardest, most effort-intensive way to deal with it. The other two are email, whoever their email carrier is, and telephone. Because your telephone service provider has all of the necessary information if, and only if, you give it to them. There's ways around that too, but you have to be smart about it. You know, like, you ever hear of a burner phone? Those are essential means of, how should I say, you can use them as a security protocol layer. And my advice on it is this, that you make up a bullshit identity, a bullshit address. You write it down somewhere, you know, you're going to remember it, okay, or that you can refer back to it, or just keep your bills, you know, from the last time that you actually pay it. You pay the bill for it in cash. You get one of those prepaid phones, and you use it for things like 2FA, so on and so forth. But down to the fucking email you've got it associated with, none of it can be connected with you in any way, shape, or form. It's got to be an informational black hole. I mean, whole. It's even better if you never use it online. You know, you don't go on the internet with it. And it's even better if you use it very, very sparingly. Don't ever give the phone number to anybody, so on and so forth. The problem with any kind of phone or any kind of device that hooks up to the internet is the issue of geolocation. And so I usually use a really fucking stupid flip phone. And again, I set up a bullshit account, bullshit email, bullshit. Never use the fucking email for anything. Never use the phone number for anything. It is an informational black hole. And that's the kind of security protocol that can spare you a lot of this fucking trouble. Because again, the person that's doing these attacks using Zelle is either A, a social engineer, B, a former employee or customer service agent for a major telephone carrier, or 3, a current employee, which is far more likely because they're getting everybody's information at the same time. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I strongly advise, if you are doing anything with finances on your computer, be very, very diligent in the way that you handle your information. Do everything you possibly can to associate a factor of security that is in no way, shape, or form attached to you, so that you can put this big black hole. I mean, if you can imagine your information security as a mantra, okay, or as a not a mantra, like a sentence, right? Or a mathematical equation. That's even better. An algebraic mathematical equation where they've got all the factors except for this one multiple right in the middle. It's an X, or it's an A, or it's a B. They've got a symbol for it. They don't have the actual number. That's your fucking burner phone. As long as they don't have that, they can never successfully complete the equation. They could compromise your computer or device. They could compromise the security protocol itself. But now associating one to the other is very, very difficult if they never see you in connection with the two. That limits the scope of people that could attack you to people that are physically addressing you. And of course, there are ways to deal with that too. That's what guns are for. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. And I have not played any Infectious Grooves, and I feel it's necessary. Here it is. Therapy by Infectious Grooves, here on Coin Metal. And that was Push Monkey with Spider. And we did go a little bit long on that, although I did want to throw down more music. But it seems like there are multiple attacks going on out there, not just on Verge, and kind of take a special exception to Mr. Charlie Lee's criticisms of Verge now, that it appears that every open orifice is being explored out there, trying to extract money out of. Apparently, people are not doing a very good job about watching out for their own bunghole. And, so I do want to cover one more article in this, about this Zelle thing, because honestly, I think this one is a much bigger issue, because it's in conventional markets. These are in, already got all the motherfucking regulatory oversight in the world, and they're experiencing these fucking issues with apps. Give me a fucking break. Anyway, this one's on American Banker. And I caught this one. I think it's kind of interesting given the timing. And I want to see, I haven't read the article, but I want to see if it has anything to do with this particular issue. And then we're going to get into some other attacks that have been going on after we've fully digested the Zelle business. So here it is. Zelle founder Paul Finch to step down. And this is by Penny Crossman, published May 17th, 2018 at 2:07 p.m. EDT. Paul Finch, the CEO of Early Warning Services, which launched the Zelle person-to-person payment network last year, said Thursday he will step down from the company next year. Finch, 55, said in an interview that he's been with the company for 28 years and has been working close to nonstop. Quote, "A little rest would not be a bad thing," he said. He said he plans to spend some time working at the Finch Family Foundation, a nonprofit organization in Phoenix that serves children and families in need. Quote, "As you might imagine, it was a difficult decision, but we're at a good spot to do this, though there's no perfect time," Finch said. Quote, "Externally, it looks like we're right in the middle of the Zelle phenomenon. The reality is the company has been making great progress. It's well established in the fraud and risk space, and even with Zelle, the P2P business case is doing well." More than $75 billion worth of payments were made on the Zelle network in 2017, and more than 247 million payments were processed. 90 financial institutions have joined the network, and 95 million customers have access to it through a mobile banking app. Finch suggested Early Warning is planning to pursue some new things over the next few years. So, quote, "Having someone at the beginning of that process, rather than trying to take over midstream, was going to be better for this business." He said, "That's how I chose this timing." For the next 12 months, he will help the company with the transition to a new CEO. Bankers involved with Early Warning and Zelle praised Finch's leadership skills. Quote, "Paul is a wonderful human being. He cares deeply about the people he leads at EWS," said Bill Wallace, head of digital for JP Morgan Chase and chairman of Early Warning's board. Quote, "In the 15 years he's been CEO of EWS, he has helped the financial services industry make great strides in the areas like risk, authentication, and development and deployment of real-time peer-to-peer capability. He is a man of his word. He is somebody I've come to appreciate as a leader. I think his team respects him highly." Mark Monaco, head of enterprise payments at Bank of America, said Finch, quote, "led the organization through the development of Zelle and deserves a lot of the credit for that. He has a great ability to have a vision about where payments and financial services is going, as well as the ability to work collaboratively with bank members. It's been a pleasure working with him," Monaco said. Bank of America has seen a 100% increase in Zelle transactions year over year. Quote, "It's an incredible example of banks working together to launch something new," Monaco said. Early Warning runs bank consortia for risk and security as well for Zelle. Getting leaders of banks of different sizes to agree on a single way of doing things can have its challenges. For instance, when it came time to determine what the user interface for Zelle would be, there were many debates about what it should look like. Some of the big banks attempted to push their own mobile banking interface, but Finch brought in an independent company to create a new one. Quote, "The real trick is to recognize that the benefit of the community is better than that of any one organization. It surprised a lot of people when we had major banks give up brands, give up look and feel, and commit to a set of operating rules that they have to operate differently than they were before. They recognized it was that important." Wallace said that the CEO role is one that requires the ability to drive collaboration among direct competitors. Finch, he said, has, quote, "done an excellent job of navigating some of those challenges." The company has also had to shift with the introduction of Zelle from a B2B company to one that serves consumers and handles their complaints. Quote, "That's not always an easy thing to do, and Paul's done a nice job with that," Wallace said. Early Warning started as a technology vendor aimed at eliminating fraud and risk in deposits. It later broadened its scope to include technology for identity checks. It reviews the opening of about 65% of all bank accounts in the U.S. It bought Finch's company, Primary Payment Systems, in 1990, and 10 years later asked him to be the CEO. Ironically, for a company that prides itself on preventing fraud, Zelle was publicly criticized recently for fraud some users have experienced, mostly through either taking payments for goods that were never provided or losing money through social engineering. Gosh, what a prediction that was. Quote, "As in any network, fraud will occur," Wallace said. The important thing, he said, is how the network rules are set up and how it helps to facilitate proper resolution of fraud instances. Finch said some of the press reports about fraud in Zelle were mischaracterizations. It's unfortunate that those misperceptions made their way into the marketplace around Zelle, he said. Quote, "Is there fraud? Absolutely. Every payment system, whether physical or digital, has had and continues to have fraud. There's no way around it. Whenever a consumer is a victim of fraud, it needs to be a top priority, and Zelle is no exception. We have to continually improve in this area." I couldn't agree more, sir. He said the entire Zelle community is working to crack down on fraud. In looking for a new CEO, Wallace said the Early Warning Board will look for the same 4 qualities it found in Finch: honest, transparent, direct, and innovative. They're also looking for experience in payments, risk, identity, and authentication, and someone who can lead from a fintech mindset. Wallace said, quote, "that entrepreneurship and the ability to innovate from a tech perspective is an important and critical aspect of the next leader of the company." Some of the staff at Early Warning were part of Finch's original company and have been there nearly 30 years. If there's anything that's tough to do, it's to leave behind some amazing people, Finch said. Very good. Thank you, Penny. She must read her own stuff to check her scansion. So yeah, there you have it. The CEO of Zelle, the longtime CEO of Zelle, departing at a particularly interesting time for Zelle. Now, honestly, I think that the Mr. Finch is absolutely correct that fraud is endemic in payment systems. But as we discussed last time, it's not that you you, basically throw your hands up and say, hey man, fraud happens, too fucking bad. It's about mitigating loss. And I regret that for some people with regard to the last hack on Verge in particular, although it's not the only one to have been hit, which we're about to get into, it looks more interesting when you do have a list of victims instead of just one, right? But apparently there have been other hacks, and like Mr. Finch has said, it's all about mitigating risk. It's all about limiting the number of people that are actually victimized and the duration in which they are victimized. One thing I did find out about the most recent issue with regard to Verge was that the thing itself only lasted for about 6 hours, and they are currently working on the fix for it. So it's not like, again, it's not like something where they're just, too fucking bad, some guys lost some money, big whoop-de-doo. They're on it, man. They're on it. And I'm sure Mr. Finch is up to his ass right now trying to figure out how to help the new CEO transition through this fucking minefield that he's thrown into his lap. Personally, I think the issue, of course, is with regard to these quote-unquote hacks, they are social engineering attacks, right? So I think that in order to enable yourself to either receive or send Zelle payments or payments through Zelle, you should actually be required to go to a physical branch of your bank. I mean, if you want to talk about something that will cut down significantly on this window that's created here, you have to neutralize the aspect that they're taking advantage of, right? Social engineering is successful because the person on the receiving end of the attack, they're absent some factors of information, okay? And these factors can just as easily be explained away by completely legitimate issues, okay? I flush my phone down the toilet, right? In order to get a new phone, I have to do a series of things in order to get a new phone. But at the end of it, I do have to physically go to get the phone. In the smart cases, and there are some cases where they've been stupid enough to send phones, and then that's only when somebody's been very successful at social engineering that they've managed to get the customer agent to send them a phone. Because either that or there has to be some other legitimizing factor, like they're calling from an AT&T store, the person is with an AT&T agent, because what that means is that person is being recorded on CCTV cameras and their identity could be verified via that. But anyway, again, we're back to the factor of authentication that cannot be duplicated. They cannot have you there and not there at the same time, right? So, if you want to resolve this issue, Mr. Finch, I would say this. You let people use the Zelle app, right? You let them download it off of the Google Play Store or the iTunes Play Store or whatever the fuck Play Store, and you allow them to install it. However, you do not allow them to send or receive any funds via this application until they have gone to a bank, a physical branch for their bank, and verified that yes, they do want to sign up for Zelle service. Because relying on things like online sign-ins or certification through a phone, all of that shit can be hacked. All of it. You're finding that out now, but it's only because there are that many more people out there that are out of work and have a shit ton of knowledge about things like telecommunications and customer service and apps and all that other shit. I mean, really, you whether you realize it or not, in developing these new payment systems, okay, we're not talking about something that's been compartmentalized like the Manhattan Project or something like that, where, you know, the next door neighbors both work at the same fucking plant, but they're so far divided that even if they were to be on continuous communication outside of work, they would not be able to put two and two together to figure out what both parties were working on, because they don't have enough information, right? But rather than isolating your customer service agents like that and putting them in the responsibilities position of determining whether or not somebody can use your app, I mean, really, come on, man. You gotta introduce the aspect of physical presence into the registration process. You know, make it something that, like, the person has to actually go to their bank and sign up for. You know, or when you establish your account, that you say, yes, I would like to use the Zelle app, and register your copy of Zelle with them. Like, if you have like an identifier in the app, like if it has an individual code, like a public address for Bitcoin, right? Maybe you have it to where it's a different address for each transaction, but verifiable against the app's key. Right? But so you register it with your bank, you know, and they'll be able to identify from the key itself whether or not it was at least transmitted from your phone. So at that point, the attacker has to at least have physical access to your phone in order to be able to get to the key and use it to register and sign up for Zelle. But again, and it would indicate whether or not it was really the person, because the identifier, the key that's on the app would be included in each transaction, and if it's not the right key, it's not the right transaction, it's not the person that intended to send it, or at least owns the phone number or associated key. And so there you go. We've just neutralized Zelle's problem. Physical location registration, not just phone, not just online. I mean, relying on online for that. Like I said, dude, there's too many factors that the people on the other end, the receiving end of it, do not know. I mean, big blind spot in your security there, kids. So yeah, that was Zelle. And I think we kind of ran that one into the ground. There's more to that story, and if you are so inclined, just Google it. Zelle, spelled Z-E-L-L-E. But the other thing I want to get into before we close out this episode, and we're kind of into our last hour, so this is definitely some stuff I want to cover. In addition to Verge, recently, as in like not all that long ago, this month, there have been two other cryptocurrencies that have been hammered. And this one, right off the bat, we're going from Trust Nodes. Monero, allegedly under attack, claims of double spends and orphan chains 21 blocks deep. This is on May 7th of 2018. And I'm following this one, or reading this one, because somebody had mentioned in the Verge chat room that two other coins had been hit this month. And yeah, this is the second one. So here we go. The anonymity-focused Monero cryptocurrency with a market cap of some $3 to $5 billion seems to be under attack following its ASIC's hard fork, which wiped out much of their hash rate. Quote, there was one fork that recognized and that reorganized by an astonishing 21 blocks. That means the eventually thrown away branch was the longest one for 21 blocks before the other branch, which eventually became the winner, overtook it. A 21 block branch is enough to double spend against basically anybody. Let's see here, and it gives us reorganization success, blah, blah, blah. So says an apparent Monero user, Ricardo Spagni, a Monero dev, said, quote, His reorganization is dated yesterday, but it's a section of blocks from 2.6 days ago. So definitely a reorg attack during catch-up. Nobody else has seen anything besides a reorganization of a single block or two. And blah 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 XMR.to has been down for unrelated reasons. Much ado about nothing. There have been at least 2 public reports of double spend attacks. Quote, 2 days ago I sent out first transaction, but something went wrong and above 24-hour balance was 0.xmr returned, but now I cannot send them. One of them says, let's see, it's all like Russian. Blah 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 was rejected by Damon with status failed reason double spend. The other one says, I'm struggling to send my balance of XMR to another wallet. I've tried both GUI and CLI, and every time I get an error that suggests I am trying to double spend. Spagni said these sudden complaints of double spends are, quote, probably because they're using a remote node or something weird. It's unclear, however, at this stage what is going on, if anything, but a number of apparent Monero users paint a picture of a network under attack. Quote, a lot of weird stuff happened on mainnet in the past 48 hours. My public node stopped syncing and then got corrupted. And got corrupted TX-pool. Up to 10 of our pool leaf nodes stopped syncing several times as well, one of them says. Quote, my miners and node have been DDoSed like crazy the past couple of weeks. I believe Dwarf Pool has been affected deeply by this whole shebang. Haven't gotten a payout in a couple days and hash rate has dropped for no reason, says another. We cannot confirm these claims at this stage, but they are made just a month after Monero hardforked to get rid of ASICs, which dropped its hash power and thus arguably security by some 80% to then slightly recover. As can be seen above, the hash rate has not increased much for about 2 to 3 weeks. So, if there is an intentional double spend attack, it would not be coming from the outside, although after the hash rate plunged, it did initially double. It may well be that there is some misconfiguration somewhere, or perhaps even a bug in the new fork code that went out last month. But as stated, Monero's dev has said there isn't anything unexpected ongoing. A 21 blocks deep reorganization of the blockchain would mean that all the transactions within those 21 blocks are effectively discarded in one chain but are valid in the other. It is effectively a chain split, but for a relatively short period of 21 blocks. That can mean transactions can be replayed, or an attacking miner or perhaps a rogue employee within the miner could double spend his own transactions. Spagni has stated he has not seen more than 2 block deep reorgs or rollbacks, but some users are complaining of double spending. Therefore, it is unclear at this stage just what exactly is going on. So there you have it. Monero, hackers' favorite coin to mine, is now getting hacked because it kicked all the fucking ASICs off of their network, which I would argue is a fucking stupid move to begin with. But whatever. I mean, you're gonna do what you're gonna do. I can understand the idea of trying to keep Monero out of the hands of just the big mining farms and keeping it in the hands of the people. And honestly, I think in the longer term, that's really the best way to go. However, ASICs exist. There is no getting around it. And so I would imagine that the attack that went on probably was done on an ASIC box. I don't know. That's probably a complete bullshit assessment, but you never know, man. I mean, it takes a significant amount of hashing power to reorganize an entire blockchain, so I would imagine. Anyway, the other one I have is this, and this one is more interesting because it's a little tighter to Bitcoin, and here it is. It's on ccn.com. Bitcoin Gold hit by double spend attack. Exchanges lose millions. A malicious miner successfully executed a double spend attack on the Bitcoin Gold network last week, making BTG at least the third altcoin to succumb to a network attack during that time span. And wait a minute, this is authored May 23rd, 2018. No indication yet of the exact author. Bitcoin Gold Director of Communications Edward Iskra first warned users about the attack on May 18th, explaining that a malicious miner was using the exploit to steal funds from cryptocurrency exchanges. To execute the attack, the miner acquired at least 51% of the network's total hash power, which provided them with temporary control of the blockchain. Obtaining this much hash power is incredibly expensive, even on a smaller network like Bitcoin Gold, but it can be monetized by using it in tandem with a double spend attack. After gaining control of the network, the attacker began depositing BTG at cryptocurrency exchanges while attempting to send those same coins to a wallet under their control. Ordinarily, the blockchain would resolve this by including only the first transaction in the block, but the attacker was able to reverse transactions since they had majority control of the network. Consequently, they were able to deposit funds on exchanges and quickly withdraw them again, after which they reversed the initial transaction so that they could send the coins they had originally deposited to another wallet. A Bitcoin Gold address implicated in the attack has received more than 388,200 BTG since May 16th, mostly from transactions it sent to itself. Assuming all of those transactions were associated with the double spend exploit, the attacker could have stolen as much as $18.6 million worth of funds from exchanges. The last transaction was sent on May 18th, but the attacker could theoretically attempt to resume it if they still have access to enough hash power to gain control of the blockchain. Bitcoin Gold's developers advised exchanges to address the attack by increasing the number of confirmations required before they credit deposits to customer accounts. Blockchain data indicates that the attacker successfully reversed the transactions as far back as 22 blocks, leading developers to advise raising confirmation requirements to 50 blocks. Jesus Christ. At present, Bitcoin Gold ranks the 26th largest cryptocurrency with a circulating market cap of $827 million. Oh, Jesus Christ, they stole a lot of that. Bitcoin Gold is at least the third cryptocurrency network hit with a major attack in the past week alone. As CCN reported, a miner manipulated two of Privacy Coin Verge's 5 hashing algorithms to maliciously mine more than 35 million XVG, worth $1.75 million in just a few hours. Previously, Japanese cryptocurrency Monocoin was hit by an apparent block withholding attack after a miner gained as much as 57% of the network's hash rate. Shit, that's another one. That's this week. 66 comments so far. Oh, let's see here. I'm just reading through some of them. Well, let's just read the list here. The first one is Bullish Buffalo. This BTG seems shady. The first wallet featured on BTG official site stealing PV. The pre-mine story, then the double spending. John Hititi. all cryptos are toxic investments, a Ponzi scheme that lost 85% of its value, but like a sect, they still believe they will be rich. LOL. RJF, obviously you don't know what a Ponzi is. Shame. Andrew Stanley Partridge responding, it's exactly like a Ponzi scheme. The first investors make quick returns paid for by later investors, and the whole enterprise is fake. Crypto is not a store of value. It is not backed by anything but hope. At best, it's a means of transacting value. This is exactly like a Ponzi scheme. A very fine one. Are stocks Ponzi schemes? Asks Aaron Balian. Chris, you must be amazed that it climbed back to $8,000 after being $6,000 and exposed on national TV. When it goes back to $20K later this year, whether you're still here crying or not, it'll be fun. Donna Knight, by that definition, so are stocks a Ponzi. Early investors can make a lot of money if the stock goes up over time. There's a lot more to a Ponzi than that. A Ponzi requires a head scammer who is doing the payouts to the initial investors. They also decide when to stop making payouts. That's not how crypto works. Andy, sorry Andy, you're wrong. RJF responds, sorry Andy, you're still wrong. Correct. Fun Please responds, take the reduced BTC rewards for mining. More coins mined, less return at certain points. Take your graphing calculator and plot that reduced return over time. What does the shape look like? What you say? A pyramid? Really? You don't know what the fuck you are talking about, but you're going to be rich. You're a fool. Okay. PBV, you should really consider learning how Bitcoin actually works. Absolutely. Fun Please, you should reply with new info, something of substance, rather than some ignorant comment. Oh, and you should learn how BTC works. Yeah, whatever. Let me think about that. Responds, you can't mine more Bitcoins. The difficulty of mining keeps adjusting up or down every 2016 blocks, so that the average block time over that period is 10 minutes. The more coins you try to mine, the more difficult it becomes to mine them. 7 hours from me posting this, the difficulty of mining Bitcoin will increase by 4.85% to compensate for increased amount of miners on the network. The current block reward is 12.5 Bitcoins. That's 12.5 Bitcoins every 10 minutes. You can't suddenly increase that to 500 Bitcoins in 10 minutes by mining more. In about 716 days, the block reward for mining Bitcoin will be halved, again, to 6.25 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. The block reward drops to zero after 21 million coins have been mined, which should happen around 2170. From that point on, the only block reward will be the network fees. No new Bitcoins will ever be produced, not even for the ones permanently lost. They never get replaced. If 13 people want to buy a whole Bitcoin every 10 minutes, one of them is going to miss out, unless they are willing to pay a little more. If 13 people are still trying to buy a whole Bitcoin every 10 minutes in 3 years' time, everyone will be paying a hell of a lot more for them. Demand and supply economics. Bitcoin creation rate cannot be increased. They cannot be counterfeited. Every single Bitcoin and every transaction ever done can be cryptographically verified as long as they're happening on chain. Bitcoin is not a store of value. Bitcoin is a digital currency that's not at the mercy of the economic decision of governments, most of which lately seem to range from very bad to outright criminal. And we're giving that an upvote because that was very astute. Let me think about that. That was the person's name actually on here. Let's see. Benjui Banjo. Despite not being at the mercy of economic decisions of government, everything Bitcoin exchanges do is either very bad or outright criminal too. Funny that. Not really. and you don't have business or economic degree, plus I do, plus proven civilian and state performance, no education, no experience, no insight, fool. And that's Fun Please said that. And let's see here. And Fun Please also says, wrong, I can mine bitcoins, and you noted the rewards for mining blocks goes down, not up, and down, as you claim in contradiction. No, they never, no, wrong, dumb shit. The number of coins issued goes down. The value of those coins goes up because there are less of them being issued every 10 minutes. So that's where your conceptual failure is happening. And no, it is not a pyramid, and you are a fucking idiot. Let's see. D. Harlow, then why the fuck are you even here? Just to hate on crypto? Bitter little hater probably invested his life savings in crypto on December 2017, then lost it all. Absolutely. Or, now I like this option too. Jeffrey Esposito, no. He's one of a few trolls here paid by the banks to spread FUD. Yeah. And so we're just going to leave it at that. So, again, fraud happens. If your shit is worth a shit, people will try and steal it. I mean, that's pretty much it. If it's worth something to somebody, they will try and steal it from you and sell it to that somebody at a price they can make a profit at. You know, but this whole idea of trying to keep ASIC miners out of your cryptocurrency, don't even bother. They're going to get into it anyway. And more importantly, not all ASIC miners are huge fucking miner farms. I mean, I understand the desire to try and keep the mining of your coin in the hands of the average person. I wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment. But the way to do that is on the devs side of things, where they have to make it worth people mining it. You know, like giving us 128 megabyte blocks. You know, of course, that's not according to Blockstream's ideas. They want to keep full blocks because then they can extort people for miner fees and keep you from transacting on chain. Make it to where you have to use an LN just to afford to transact. I don't know why more people can't see this. I don't know why I'm having to argue with people on Twitter that they do not fucking understand this. I mean, especially after December. I mean, really, after Bitcoin hit $20,000 and I started hearing people bitch about having to pay over $100 for a fucking miner fee. I mean, really, what do you think's going to happen if we still have 1 megabyte when Bitcoin hits $20,000 again? More importantly, what do you think is going to happen to that block space when you have Wells Fargo and Chase Manhattan opening and closing their fucking Lightning Network payment channels on the Bitcoin blockchain? That's going to throw mining fees through the fucking roof because they're going to be doing billions of dollars worth of transactions on these payment channels, and they are not going to be trusting the transactions to you. I'm sorry. They are not going to do that. They're going to have their own set of fucking Lightning nodes, and if you aren't using the software that they are using, they're just not going to pass your transactions through their fucking hubs, and you're asked out, pal. Again, I don't understand why I have to indicate this to anybody. I don't understand, especially after we've already learned this lesson. We've already seen it. We've already dealt with it, head first, in real time. In real life. It's not theoretical anymore. It's a reality. We learned how the economics of Bitcoin scale when you only have 1 megabyte and everybody in the fucking planet trying to stuff all their transactions into that 1 megabyte. It's not that big a deal when there's only, 200-300 people doing it. But it's a lot bigger deal when you have bankers trying to do it. Exchanges trying to do it. See, I think that in addition to ASICs, if you had 128 megabyte blocks, you'd have enough block space in there to where the average person would bother to fucking mine. I mean, think about this. Okay, with Bitcoin Cash, that 32 megabyte block, you know how many transactions it can fit in that thing? I mean, just going by 2,000 transactions per megabyte, we're talking about 64,000 transactions per 10 minutes. The only way Bitcoin is ever going to be able to compete with that is if you're using Lightning Network, meaning you're using a third party to facilitate your transaction, and it's happening actually slower than Bitcoin is supposed to work. Or we go to 128 megabyte blocks, and you got plenty of room for your fucking Lightning Network bullshit and people that want to transact on chain as they've always been able to do. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. And I have not played any Sixth, and so that's where we're going to go with this. And jeez, I love this band, and picking the right song, it's very, very tough. In This Light, here we go by Sixth, here on Coin Metal. And that was Slayer with Ghosts of War. I gotta say, Slayer really stepped it up on that album, South of Heaven, and also the next one after that, Seasons in the Abyss. I was mildly disappointed with Divine Intervention, but that's a whole different issue. But anyway, yeah, hacked happens. If what you are doing is worth a shit to anyone, someone will try and steal it from you and sell it to them. That's basically all there is to it, man. I mean, again, if there's anything of value to it, somebody will try and gank that value. You know, and you just got to keep that in mind, especially since we're talking about money. That's worth something to a lot of people, not just one person, but networks of thousands of people, millions of people. But it is for that reason that we should be especially careful with other people's information. You know, and that starts with whether or not you actually need to have that information. If you don't, then you're uselessly exposing your consumers and customers to dangers that they do not need to be exposed to. And again, that's going against that principle of threat mitigation. You know, you're intentionally, it seems, expanding the number of potential victims of attacks, hacks, and thefts and frauds and other such shit. You know? And as we go into the future, as more of this stuff gets digital, we're going to really be revisiting this, especially in the next 2 to 3 years. I think, actually, I would say the next 2 to 5 years. And I do not believe that RIFIDs or any of that other bullshit are ever going to take care of it. I believe what really needs to happen is we need to reevaluate how much information a custodian really needs to have to do their jobs effectively. And you know, developers just have to go that much further in determining exactly what trade-offs are acceptable. Because some of them aren't acceptable, as you're exposing your customers to undue risk. So, gotta be doing some definite auditing of your software just to see if there's a potential for your customers of getting ripped off, or your users rather. But it is with that I would like to close this episode out. We will be back again on Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so until then, I want y'all to trade safe. Do your homework. Because a lot of shit gets misconstrued in the communications, sometimes intentionally so. You got to be doing your homework, looking out for number 1 there. And that leads me to watch out for your own bunghole. That means limiting the number of potential threats that you could be experiencing by what services and coins you do use. There is no coin that does not have several vulnerabilities on them, not even Bitcoin. But whether or not they're worthy of people exerting the effort to take advantage of them, that's a whole different story. And I will say this, we have experienced a significant number of technical issues with regard to this episode, but it's okay, because I've recorded all of it. And so those of you who do listen to this on YouTube, you got the whole schmagula, even though the live feed was somewhat damaged by a series of attacks on me, it seems. Or at least issues with regard to my software, which only seem to happen when I'm doing this show live. So I got to think there's maybe somebody saying, I don't like coin metal. I don't want you to say what you're saying. Don't say that stuff to these people. Well, fuck them. They're not looking out for your best interests. I try to, at least. So it is with that. I'd like to say good night. Thank you very, very much for the support and the wishes for happy birthday. Thank you, everybody who did wish me happy birthday. I certainly do appreciate it. Y'all have an excellent evening. See you again on Friday. And so with that, Last Dance, Slipknot, Custer, here on Coin Metal. Thanks again for listening, and y'all have an excellent evening.